Hey, everybody, your designers are here.
I'm Anita at Cedar Hill Farmhouse.
And I'm Yvonne at Stone Gable.
And I'm Kelly at My Soulful Home. And we've got tips and tricks and decorating advice for you today. So let's get started.
Today is episode 237, listener questions, and we're going to answer them. The show notes for today's episode can be found at decoratingtipsandtricks.com/237.
I love these episodes.
They've become one of my favorite too.
Well, and you just never know what you're going to get. It's like the box of chocolates, right? You just don't know.
Yes.
And I love to know that we're going to be helping people solve their decorating issues. And I think that if they're sending these questions in, there must be others like them doing the same.
Yes.
Right?
Good point. And we get so many. So, have patience with us. A lot of them we can answer, and we can answer them straight away. I'll answer them in a reply email, or one of the other gals will. But sometimes we want to save them, for one of these episodes. So we're going to be going back in time a little bit, a month or so, and answering some questions that have come to us. And if your question doesn't get answered today, please know it is in the queue because we have a few more of these episodes on the schedule. And if you haven't sent a question yet, please get one in and we will put it on the queue. Okay, so today we're going to kick it off. We just generally sort of toss these out. Sometimes they're particularized to one of us because of our style, or a person that reads our blogs more exclusively, and they want to ask one certain of us. But today we've got just a whole bunch of questions that everybody can toss in an answer to. And we're going to start off with Gail G. Gail asked a question that I think a lot of people have and people are plagued with. How do you handle the ugly things? Oh, Gail, we all have them, right? Like the cords, she says, and the files and the wires and things like that. Like, any functioning home in 2018 is going to have this stuff. So what do you guys do with it?
Well, I think it depends. Sometimes a cord, like if you have, let's say the buffet in my entry hall. Hey, listen, I have a lamp. There's a little cord that goes behind it. No problem. I just let that go. That looks natural. But I have a set of sort of industrial shelves in my living room, and I have a little light in it, and I don't want that cord going all the way down the open shelves to the switch. So here's what I do. I take they've got these little Velcro-y, sticky things you can put onto either like a leg of something or the side of something. And I put I run my cords like across the bottom of a shelf and down the one leg. And that tends to work. Oh, so you
disguise it against something.
It helps.
She hides it behind the leg.
Yes. And push comes to shove. A little bit of masking tape works, and I've been known to do that.
I bet you could even paint the masking tape too. Paint it the color.
Well, I haven't gone that far, but just so that it's hidden, and that's a really good thing to do. And they also, for like cords, the cords that you have like with your computers, and because we're bloggers, tend to have a lot of equipment and podcasters that go along with it. So we're always fighting cords. They have these little cord organizers that you can get. They look like tubes that they're cut, and you can just put your down on the one side, but they're round, and so you can literally put all of your cords into it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're slit on one side, but they kind of close up around them.
Right. All I can think of is those when you get something in a plastic ring binder, that they have those little round, they're like plastic. If you have them, like if you have, or in a business and you go to a business meeting, they give you these like a proposal or something in these little binders. Mm-hmm. And that's what it reminds me of, but it's solid because they actually close around themselves, but you can sort of open them back up and throw the cords in. And it's a really neat look.
When I've had photographers come for magazines, they just unplug everything and then wind up the cords, and then they duct tape them out of out of view. And to be honest with you, if it's a lamp that I don't really use, I just leave it like that because I'm constantly photographing.
A devil dog.
Okay.
Well, because I'm constantly photographing my house. Yeah, so, I mean, if I'm using the lamp, obviously, it has to be plugged in. But
for
if
normal
it doesn't,
people who turn their lamps on.
Right. But let's face it, some lamps you just probably don't even turn on. So you could do that. Or what she said, behind the leg. But if you don't want to go get the special, whatever she was saying, just the duct tape behind the leg. And that is the best way to do it, is just to go along the back of a table and then down the leg. Down the back with the duct tape. And that'll keep it out of view.
Here's the other thing. People, if you have an outlet that is partially covered by drapes, and then you have a lamp and a table in front of it, you don't want to mess up your drapes. You don't want the cord to show, or it has to go around to the other side of it. So I sometimes run an extension, a white extension cord, because I usually have white drapes. I run an extension cord, so all you see is the one cord to the ground, and then I tape it on the ground underneath the drapes. Are you following me? To the outlet.
Right.
So you do see a little bit of a cord, but it's not like crazy going in front of your drapes and, around underside.
Well, I wanted to tell Gail that you probably see a lot of blogger pictures where there's no cords. And here's a little secret.
Insider tip?
Well, it's not really a tip for her, but it's just a secret. A lot of times we Photoshop them out. So they're there. I mean, but I do Photoshop mine out if I have time. But in real life, a lot of times, sometimes there's just nothing you can do. It's just going to show. But anyway, so don't feel bad if you don't, if you see a room and they're all hidden and you're like, how did they do that? Well, that's how we did it. It's not really hidden in real life.
I have a confession. So I have these beautiful little candlestick lamps with pretty burlap shades on my mantle. And I actually do have an outlet on my mantle, and it comes in really handy. But even those little cords show, even though I have them tucked way to the back. So I just decided, how badly do I really want to use this lamp? And we don't use them that often. Once in a blue moon, I cut the cords.
Oh, goodness.
Totally
well, okay,
off.
But I think Gail's question really is like reality. So
I know, but I'm just
reality.
saying. Yeah.
So, Gail, if you have cords to go to your phone and all your other kinds of devices, get a charging station. They're really inexpensive.
Oh, good.
We got 4 or 5 of them for the house. My husband found them on Amazon. I think they were like $20 each. I'll try to find the link from him and include it in the show notes. Super easy. I have my AirPods, I have my phone, and I have an Apple Watch, and I can charge them all on one thing. So I don't have all separate plugs. And then if you've got a desktop and you don't want to see the wires going across the desktop to the various outlets and off the side of your desk, you can have those hole drilled or drill it yourself with the right equipment. And then you get one of those little plastic inserts, so it really makes it like nice and neat and tidy. And then all the cords can just slide through that hole and then go underneath to where there probably is an outlet underneath your desk.
And then be bungeed together or be put in one of these little tubes.
Okay. So Gail, we hope you answered your question. Patricia wants to know about organizing her bedroom dresser drawers. Do we use dividers? Do we use boxes? And Patricia wants to know, and the panties, what do you do with it all? Where do you put all of that stuff?
Oh, well, I would like to start on this one. Well, because I've really made an effort in the last few years to neaten up my life. So every little panty I fold up into like a little package now, and I have them stacked. I don't use the dividers, but I think that would be a great idea. The thing about the dividers is then you're stuck with the set size for every particular item. But I do have particular sections of the drawers where certain things go. But the other thing that I've just found that we're now have in our bespoke decor.store are these bags that you use for your sheets. So, your sheet sets, how they can kind of make a mess in your closet or in the drawers. I now have my entire sheet set in one drawstring bag. And so I can look to see what's on top of the bag to know, okay, that's my blue set of sheets. Those are the pink ones. These are the white ones. And it's just so neatly organized. So you can use drawstring bags. Like I said, we've got them, but you can probably get them somewhere else.
Oh, yeah, you could use those bags for bras and panties too, even if you don't want to use them for the sheet set. Because I'm going to feel bad about myself a little bit tomorrow morning when I go and, get my undies out, because mine are in just a jumble. And now I know yours are nicely folded. And, so I'm going to feel a little bad about myself.
I was a jumble person until
I'm going to think about it as a goal and not think about it as a negative thing. My mother is the only other person in the universe that I know that does that. She takes her bras and all the straps go inside the cup.
Yep, I've started doing that.
Lines them up. Oh my Lord.
You who are like the neatest person on the planet, Kelly. You're a silly nilly because you are so neat about everything.
No, I am, but my underwear drawer does not evidence.
Well, everybody deserves one thing. Everybody.
Oh, well, yeah. But even Kevin's drawer, it's the same way. Everything is very neatly folded and placed in the drawer because, I just thought, why not? I mean, it's so much easier for me to find things now. So, and it just kind of makes me happier. I'm like, it's like I pull out like a little packet. Like,
right. Well, you're ever looking for the black strapless bra when you have 10 minutes to be at the place you're supposed to be at? Right. Yeah, so I'm going to probably have to adopt your folding.
Let me just chime in here. I think there's a lot of interesting things you can buy, like at the Container Store, little shops. But the best thing I've done, I recently got a new dresser in my master bedroom and cleaned it all out. First of all, clean everything all out, take out everything you don't need and, give away, throw away, put away. And I roll everything now like I'm going to pack. Like, how people roll things when they pack. I roll all of my pajamas that way. And they're sitting on it makes my life so much easier because it looks so neat in the drawer and they don't move around and I can see them and I can lift up a few and grab out when I need and just plunk the little rolls back down. And I roll everything. I love my uniform is usually a white long sleeve t-shirt and I roll all those and then they don't get as wrinkled if you know how to roll them correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's
good
true.
tips. Yeah, I think Martha was a big roller or is a big roller.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's why I first read that many, many years ago in one of her magazines. Okay, so we have a question now from Sarah Campbell. Sarah, she has called herself our email bombarder, but we love it. So keep them coming. And I'm trying to keep up with everyone. So Sarah, I hope you haven't, or if you have taken action in your laundry room before I got to record this episode and give you an answer. If I'm saying something that you didn't do, I'm sure whatever you did is fabulous. So anyway, Sarah has a question. She sent some photos. And since you guys don't have the photos, I'm just going to explain to you what they look like. Right. So we're talking about Sarah's laundry room. And she had some FORMICA countertop. And she has a washer and dryer. And then she had, so the FORMICA on a horizontal, then also a little bit on a vertical, dropping down to where the sink is, and then a piece of exposed wood, like a nice piece of wood, but finishing it off along the side of her washer and dryer. Can you all picture that?
I can.
Okay. So her question is, she didn't like the seams in the FORMICA. And so she was asking us whether or not she should paint those seams or do something in there. And then she wanted to know about that piece of exposed wood, which is, it's stained a color similar to her cabinets, but slightly lighter. But it is butting up right against the light-colored FORMICA and the white dryer. So here's my thoughts, Sarah, and then the other ladies can say what they think. I think, and the room was not finished, is not decorated, still had some some things to be done to it. I think once it's all done, you are not going to notice those FORMICA seams as much as you are now. I have found in all the renovations that I've done, sometimes there's this little thing that really bugs me as it's progressing along. And when the whole thing is done and I've got it decorated the way I want, I don't notice that one thing so much anymore. And in a situation like this, painting a seam in FORMICA, I think you're going to be opening a can of worms you don't want to open. Because no matter what paint you use, there's going to be water involved. It's a laundry room. There's going to be dinging. There's going to be things where that paint might chip off, or you might not be able to get the exact color match, and you may end up making it more noticeable than it is now. Hey, FORMICA has seams, granite has seams, marble has seams. We do our best to conceal them, but I think sometimes putting more on is not the best choice. So I would say just leave them as they are until everything's completely finished, you could always go back and, if you don't agree with me, fill it in either maybe with some neutral colored silicone, something that would be able to take the water. I wouldn't necessarily do paint. And then as far as that piece of wood running vertically down to the floor along the side of your dryer, I would paint that as close a color as you could get to the Formica. So it blends almost seamlessly. That I would paint because that is a wood surface and it will take the paint better.
Is she planning to replace the Formica later, or is this going to be
this is new Formica. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's going to be, okay. Because I was going to say if it was old, I would probably paint the whole thing. But if it's new, then she won't want to do that. Okay, right. So never mind.
So those are my thoughts. And as far as decorating it, it's going to be such a pretty space, and you have such pretty blue on the walls. It's this really lovely, lovely blue, kind of like a Williamsburgy blue. And I would just, and she wants to have a little Frenchy feel. So I would maybe do some of those glass canisters like Yvonne has talked about, and maybe put some of those teacup measuring cups in there, something like that, because you have a nice expanse there, and that would brighten it up. And do something a little higher because you have that one cabinet. So I don't want to go too far into what it looks like since everybody's not seeing it, but I think in those general terms, my opinion would be don't paint the seams of your Formica. Let it roll until you get it all done and see if it really bothers you still at that point. And do put a coat of paint on that piece of wood and try to match it as best you can to the Formica.
And I wanted to add to what Kelly was saying. Once you have something that's going to draw your eye, you're not going to be focused on that. And you're probably noticing that a lot more than somebody else walking in the room. But maybe no one else is going to walk in if it's your laundry room. But once you decorate the space or put something that is really a pop of wow or some sort of decor on the wall or something, your eye's going to be drawn to that instead of the scene.
I so agree.
It is. And depending on what she does on that surface, she can also run a beautiful, maybe toile table runner over it because she likes it to be French inspired. So that would be another idea. But, sort of my question to you is why are there seams in it, in the Formica? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, there's seam at the edge. It's a flat expanse on the horizontal,
okay,
and then it drops down to the sink. So they had to put in another piece there. So there's a seam on the side. It's really not that many seams. I mean, Formica has edges anyway.
Yes. So
are we just talking about the little edges or one of those metal things?
No, there is one seam, and then there's really just the edges, and then where it meets the little bit
edges
of the
I think are fine. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't paint all the edges.
Part of life. That's right.
Let it roll, baby. We're good with your seams. Okay. So Jackie W. wants to know a couple of questions about tabletop. Where do we find the silverware that we've been showing? And, can you find colorful silverware? So I'm not 100% sure whether Jackie's talking about, the golds and the rose golds and things like that. She may be also referring to ones with the bottoms that are
handles,
colored.
The French ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then you best handle this, darling.
I think she's talking about those, and those I order online. And actually I have a French, there's a wholesaler that imports their French owners, and they import from France around the corner from me. So to be honest with you, I just drive over there and get what I need.
Go around the corner.
But you can order online. I know Wayfair, Birch Lane, they have some of this silverware, and I'm going to mispronounce it, but it starts with an L, and it's got a B on the handle, and they come in all these beautiful colors. I'm sure that's what she's talking about.
Well, let me just take it from any of the listeners who don't want the French, which is just so beautiful. But where I get a lot of my silver flatware is vintage shops and flea markets. If you want the color with the colored handles, Wayfair, Target, like check in any of your big stores that I can't think, like Target comes to mind. That's the biggest one I can think of. Pier 1, all of those probably carry colorful handle. And really, it's a seasonal thing. I think you'll find that more in the summer than you will anytime at all, unless you go to a website like Wayfair or Overstocks or something like that.
If they want the antique silverware, I get that at eBay, but I know you can also get it at thrift stores. Sometimes I find it there. There's a lot of, but obviously a secondhand place. Because you can't get new. It's almost impossible to find new silver plate. And
Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfast, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Okay, and then the question also is about placemats with a tablecloth. Is that frowned upon or is that a yes?
I say, why make yourself that much work? I would say that's maybe a little overkill at this point. So just do one or the other. That's my opinion. And if you don't like the idea of having a bare center, do a table runner or something small in the center, and then using placemats around.
Well, I would say traditionally it has been frowned upon, but it's such an anything goes environment these days that I'm not going to say don't do it, because I think it's just a more free experience now. I don't know. People kind of do their own thing, and I hate to limit creativity and say no. So, and I think we did when we did that Texas Flip and Move house, Kelly, I think we did put placemats on top of a tablecloth because we just said,
well, we needed to cover that table.
Well, just pick one or the other. It just is a lot of work, especially if you have to iron a tablecloth. And then, and some placemats need to be ironed as well. The only time that I think that I would probably use a placemat and, a tablecloth is probably using a white tablecloth, and I have these beautiful rattan placemats, but they can actually look formal if you put them on a white tablecloth. So I think that'd be the only time I'd use the two together. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree with Anita. The sky's the limit. You can do what you want, but don't make yourself that much work.
Okay. Amy Mack wants to know, if you're painting your walls white, do you make the trim the same white?
Well, on that one, my feeling is It depends on your room. If you have beautiful woodwork that you want to highlight, I think you definitely want to call attention to it, which means making it a little different color paint. So I would in that particular case. If I know one of the houses we lived in was built in the 60s, our first house, and the woodwork was really not something I cared to draw attention to. In that case, I wanted it to go away. So I just painted it the same color as the wall. And that's something, obviously it's going to look a little different because usually we go a little glossier on the woodwork than the wall. But again, I mean, it just depends in my mind whether you want to highlight it or not.
I also think if you have stained woodwork, keep it stained if it's something you love. But I'm just going to do a little bit different than Anita. I think if you have white walls, and we have a lot of beautiful millwork in our house, we have the exact same color. We just have it in like you said, a little more glossy. We have something in, that's a low gloss, but still is a gloss, like a satin and actually in a few places we have high gloss, but I like that look. I think it's a very rich look. So I would go white with white.
Yeah, I would stick with the same white, and that's what I've done here. As many of you know, almost my entire house is simply white, Benjamin Moore. And I just changed the finish. So I have a velvet on the wall, so you can wipe it a little bit. I didn't do completely flat. And then I have the semi-gloss, or their highest gloss possible, because it's not an oil, but I wanted the shine. And that really makes the woodwork, and I have a lot of it in this house, pop for me. And the house has a lot of light, so that may also be adding to it, because the sheen on the trim finish really pops in the light. So it may also depend on whether your house is darker, whether you want to change it up. But I think you run into the problem, particularly if you're going to stick with the whites. Like Anita was saying, if you did maybe a totally different color, or like, not a white, still a neutral, but maybe not a white. If you're doing two whites, one of them may end up looking dingy next to the other one.
Mm-hmm,
that's true.
So dingy is bad.
Well, my mom has white walls, and she has a very, very soft tan woodwork, and it's really beautiful. Now, I don't think I'd want to live with it, because that's just another color I've got to deal with. But that's a beautiful combination. So if you want to pick a lighter neutral, I think you could do that. But maybe you'd have to pick something that you're going to work with that color through the rest of your house as well, or something that complements it. Because if you want to use gray and you go with that like tan color, and one's cool and one's warm, certainly that's not going to work.
Well, I think what Kelly was saying was absolutely the biggest takeaway, I think, from this discussion. And that is, make sure that if you're using two different whites, one doesn't have a lot more yellow in it than the other one, because that one will end up looking yellow and dingy.
Yeah. Got to be careful with the dinge. And, that you can test. But one way to make sure one isn't making the other one look less than, is just to use the same one. Okay, so we have now a question from Connie F., one of our very loyal and longtime listeners. So Connie has a beautiful home, but she was listening to one of the episodes, and she looked around and realized, I have so much orange toned wood in my house. And she is thinking about changing that out. She and her husband are in, let's just say, negotiations about when the kitchen cabinets may or may not be painted. I think Connie might win that out. And she also has some orange toned floors in her home. And she would like to at least take steps towards toning that down with the woodwork. So before we get to the answer for that one, I'm going to be asking the ladies to think about whether or not Connie can put some sort of wash on her orange toned woodwork to tone it down. Does anybody have an answer? It's kind of a stumper. Like, how do you put a wash on the stain?
Hey, can I start off with this one? Because I do think I might have the answer for her. I've started a new business that works very well with Stone Gable and our podcast. And I'm a maker at a maker studio. And it's about selling different kinds of paint techniques. We have something called gel stain. This is revolutionary. And you can take let's say if you have a golden oak cabinet that you no longer like golden oak, and let's say you're not big into painting it a color, there is a gel stain that you can actually, you clean off your cabinetry, and with a special cleaner, you don't have to strip it. You don't have to do anything. You can paint on this gel stain and then literally take it off with a brush, and it becomes walnut, a gorgeous walnut. That's my favorite.
Stop it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, this is why this is the main reason that I became a quote unquote maker at a maker studio, because I think this is such an answer for people who don't like to paint their things maybe white or another color, but like the look of a stain. And it is permanent, and it stays, and it works, and it's beautiful. There's all kinds of other finishes. There's everything from a light pine to a black. Now, depending on what you put it on will actually change that color. And also I have a product called Rescue and Refine. And it also can be watered down. It's a chalk-based paint, but it really is a beautiful paint, and it can be watered down to become a wonderful glaze or a wonderful sort of top coat on something. As far as the floor goes, I don't know that you could really.
Yeah, she wasn't talking about the floor.
Use gel stain.
We were talking.
But I know that she has also said something about her cabinets as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so floor, I have very my floors are chestnut, and they show sort of red on my blog. So I don't like that. There's nothing I can do with it. We're not going to repaint them, and we're not going to replace it. So I use sisal rugs, and then I put down other rugs on top of it, like large sisal rugs. Tones down the color wonderfully. Now it's sort of like a hiding trick, like you hide it, because I try to get rid of most of the red, but I want to leave some there, and it doesn't look so bad. The sisal rug makes such a difference.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to just get the big rugs for your floors if they're a stain that you really don't like.
But my number one tip is paint it white. Paint them white. Somebody paint your floors white and send me a picture
like
so
yours.
I
I don't think her
live vicariously through you. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good one.
And we'll put those products in the show notes for you.
Yeah, that's a great one. Okay, and then we have another one. Shayna P. She has toddlers, yummy, and they have bunk beds. And so she had some questions how to configure the nightstand and the lights on the nightstand, because, somebody's up and somebody's down, and how do you make that work? Do any of you have an idea of how that might work?
I've seen online some gorgeous brass clip-on lamps that you can clip onto a headboard. So why couldn't you clip them onto that top bunk and the bottom bunk?
Well,
I think that's just the simplest
Mhm.
thing to do. And then you don't have to drill holes in the wall, mount you can certainly do a wall mount as well. But if it's a bunk bed that maybe is not going to be used, maybe you're going to be taking it out when they get older or moving, and you don't want to deal with the expense of having everything mounted on the wall. Yeah, I think I would just go with those clip-on lamps.
I think that's an excellent idea, Anita. And here's another thing you can also do. If you don't want to deal with even the cords and the plugs of those clip-ons, I would say, and of course this is a little more costly, I would hang really cool pendant lights from the ceiling. I don't, I'm not a big ceiling light.
But there's that bottom bunk. I think she was trying to do.
And there's but you
a
can toddler.
But you can hang.
So I think she was looking for individual lights.
But you can hang them individually. There's all kinds of things. Like you can get like a stripping at the top that hangs different lights at different heights down. And that can be really cool, especially if you had some very cool, like little drum shades on them. So just be creative and look out there, because they do have things like that.
BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. Okay, here's just something I wanted to share. This was so fun. It made me smile. And we got all these great, beautiful pictures too. So this is from Kathleen in Chicago. So, hey, Kathleen, I hope you're listening and you hear us. So Kathleen says, "This is better than any dating service, ! For years, I needed to find someone who was like me, ! I mean, I couldn't tell anyone how I would spend countless hours decorating and redecorating, ! Then I found you, ! I think I might be, quote unquote, normal, !
Oh.
Kathleen, you are more than normal. And, you know, hey, if decorating and redecorating is wrong, I don't want to be right, babe. So we're good. So welcome. So glad you found us. And yeah, we're decorating, Match.com for decorating or something like that.
Yeah. We're
decorating buddies.
Yeah, that's right. We're a sisterhood.
So, and thank you for the beautiful pictures of your home and your vignettes. We really enjoyed them. That was awesome. We have another question, which this might plague a lot of people, or gosh, we might have a situation like Connie had when she listened to the episode and then she started looking around going, yikes, I have a lot of orange wood. Now people might say, yikes, I have mismatched switch plates. That's hard to say. Mismatched switch plates. So
wow,
if you can say mismatched switch plates, maybe
That's
you don't
good,
have any.
Kelly.
Yeah, that was hard. So what do you guys think? So A, is plastic acceptable? And if it is or it isn't, whatever you choose, should it all match throughout the house? I have very strong opinions about this. So
why don't you begin?
Well, why don't you go first?
No,
Kelly?
you go first.
Okay.
It'll be hard to hold those opinions in.
It will be hard.
If they're strong. So go ahead.
My strongest opinion is yes, they must all match. And they definitely need to match. And I'm okay with the plastic, you know, especially when you can go to your local hardware store and get them for like 49 cents, as opposed to some of the ones I was picking out on Rejuvenation and other lovely hardware purveyors where, you know, there was like $40 for a switch plate, and then I had to dial myself back. I think plastic is fine, particularly if you have white walls. I have the benefit of having white walls here, so the white plastic switch plates really don't bother me at all.
Versus
there could be metal.
Yeah, there's all kinds of
there's
switch plates you can
metal.
buy.
There's ones that have designs.
There's no such thing as a decorative switch plate cover. You know what I mean?
Well,
there are. No, but there are such things, but they should not be allowed.
That's what I'm saying.
So in other words,
it's not really decorative. Don't waste your money on a decorative switch plate cover because it's a switch plate cover. You don't want your eye drawn to it.
Exactly.
Well, here's what I would say. I would say if it's not the same white, just paint them the same color as your wall color, put a sealant over it. But you know the little toggles that you switch on and off?
Oh, yes,
please let them be white inside that. Our builder put all tan ones. I know.
Oh, no.
So when we put a tan, you cannot put a white wall switch plate over a tan toggle. No. It just looks awful.
Oh, tan toggle.
So it makes a lot of work. And I disagree with you girls. I think if somebody loves like oil rubbed bronze and you have that in your house, and it's not like you've got 15,000 plugs, outlets and switch plates. If you just have a couple, I don't think that looks bad actually.
No, well, I didn't get to finish my strong opinion.
Oh, so sorry, honey.
Well, it wasn't you; it was the other lady. But anyway, I think that be quick. The plastic is fine if it's white. And you have white walls or you would just, even on a colored wall, if they're all white, I think that's fine. They're inexpensive. Okay. And then they just want to cut me off. And I also think that you could do a nice oil rub bronze or a goldish, antique gold or something like that. If you really like that, but my caveat, my strong opinion is really in that they all have to match. You need to pick a path and stick on it.
Yep.
Okay. And
Yep.
I totally agree with the insides. Now, what happened here is we had a lot of those old plugs, that don't even have the three things.
Yes.
And they'd be like all black and had like some paint on them from, 45 years ago. And so and it doesn't cost that much when somebody's doing your electrical work, just have them change them out. It's probably safer too, and put in the white ones. So it all matches. So, but if you're doing this oil rub bronze or whatnot, you're probably not going to want white plugs in there. You're going to want like a black one or a dark brown one. So you have to think there's a lot that goes into those things. Then there's this other thing that I thought about doing here, which is really only for a historic home, is they have the ones where they're the push buttons. And there is a company that makes those and they operate just like regular lights, but they're super cool looking. But again, really expensive. Do you want to put your money in that where, really only people like Kathleen and us are going to notice, So I think that, your money is better spent someplace else, like the electric bill or something like that, rather than the switch.
Yeah. And I would
agree
say too, our older house had all of the cream or tan or whatever you want to call that switches throughout the house. And at one point, this was an older house that we had. I went from painting everything the off-white to kind of more the white trim. This was years ago. And so I went through and changed every single one in the house, which took a while. But I did it and it just looks so much better. But yeah, so it
does look better.
I agree with Kelly. I mean, make sure it's the same throughout your house. And I wouldn't spend a lot of extra money on something decorative because this is not, you don't want it to, my opinion is you do not want a high contrast here because your eye's going to be drawn to anything contrasty. And a switch plug is not where I want people staring in my house.
You're right.
So I do recommend white. It kind of goes away. I've worked with builders on multi-million-dollar homes over and over again. And the reality is they all have those white plastic plates over their switches in every single one of those multi-million-dollar homes. So, if they can live with it, I think we can too.
Well, on that note, you guys, it's 39 minutes and 45 seconds into our listeners' questions. And I know we could go on all day, but we should probably close our question book right now. What do you think?
I think so. And it's been so fun, so excited to get to chat with you about all the questions that came in. Please keep sending in your questions. We love hearing from you. We want to tell you what we think. We love, helping.
I just really want to tell you what I think.
I really want to just tell you what I think. No, really, seriously. We seriously love helping you with any of your decorating dilemmas. Please let us know. Please email us and we'll get you on a future episode. And remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Hey everybody, we want to thank you so much for listening to Decorating Tips and Tricks. And we want to make it even easier for you to listen. And it's easier if you subscribe. You just click the subscribe button on our website, www.decoratingtipsandtricks.com, or you can subscribe through Apple Podcast or any of your favorite podcast listeners. When you subscribe, DTT comes free right to you 3 days a week. So until next time.